Welcome to Devine. If you are new here, my name is Amira, and if you are returning, welcome back. So, today I wanted to share my personal experience and journey on why I chose to deliver my beautiful baby girls at home, why I chose to do a home birth. Now, this video is not to be insensitive toward any of the beautiful women who may have decided to give birth at a hospital, as I truly understand that we are all at different places, situations are different, and we are all doing the best that we can with the tools and resources that we have. Now, ever since I was young and ever since I can remember, I've always seen birth or giving life depicted as this horrific, painful, dreadful experience that you just have to clench your teeth and get ready for. This has been something I've seen in TVs or movies, and I've even seen movies kind of making fun of home birth as if it's some weird, icky, taboo experience that you just don't want anything to do with. Now, of course, me being the free thinker that I am, I had to think about this thing, something that's supposed to be so magical as bringing life into the world. We associate it with pain and just being something that's weird and odd, and something that you just have to do. Also while being beautiful at the same time. Now, when I think about it, women have been giving birth naturally since the beginning of time. And this is certainly much longer than modern day conventional medicine has been around. Now, of course, this isn't to talk full crap about the medical system, because I understand that sometimes, if things can go completely wrong and they don't go, as planned originally, and you have that modern day medicine to step in and get your baby here, by all means necessary safely, then of course that would be, a different situation. But I truly feel like women are capable of delivering their babies naturally and have been doing so for a very, very long time. Like, the body is an intelligent being all on its own. Like, of course, we have, our spirit and our psyche and things like that, but the body itself is a living organism, and the infinite universe, the infinite all source, created this body to be very, very intelligent, so it knows and understands what you need and how to get your baby here. Now, I've heard stories of many women, having to give C-sections and not feeling so great about it, or feeling like, they failed as moms because, they weren't able to deliver their babies naturally. And again, of course, if this is something that you had to do, then you are still Superwoman and your baby is here safely. But I do know that sometimes I feel like in the medical system, it's like women can almost be treated like a number, a number on a conveyor belt. And because it's an institution, because it's a business, it's like bring them in, bring them out. So a lot of times, even if the mother doesn't necessarily need a C-section, then she might be given a C-section, or she'll be induced early, just so that they can bring the baby into the world. And sometimes, give or take, babies come when they want. You know what I mean? They might not come exactly on their due date. And I think that if we just give them the time that they need, they're gonna come. They're gonna show up. So I wanted to approach, something so sacred from a different angle. And even though I had never done it before, or it's something that I've never really seen done before, because, most of the women that I know, or, most of the women in my family have, given birth in a hospital, I still wanted to kind of challenge myself and challenge my mind on what I could do. Now, I would say that I do have one example, and this is the story of my great grandmother. My grandma told me that, they, back in that time, they didn't go to the hospital to give birth. And my great grandmother, she gave birth naturally to 10 beautiful children, all healthy children. I know, some of them are transitioned now, but I knew all of my aunts and uncles, and they were all completely healthy, fine children. So I think that was the one story that just kind of gave me inspiration. Like, wow, this woman, she's really a superwoman. She gave birth to 10 babies at home, you know, naturally. You know what I mean? Now, when I think about it, today we may have doctors, nurses, things of that nature, or midwives in hospitals, but back then they had their community, they had their village, the aunts and the grandmothers and the mothers and their village midwife, and the mother was surrounded by so much support and love, and she definitely was not alone, while also allowing something so beautiful and natural to unfold. So I wanted to approach giving birth in that manner. So I sought out a midwife for the journey. And, back then I'm thinking like, well, if I try to find a midwife, then maybe it's going to cost too much money. But actually, when I did the numbers, giving birth in a hospital would have been way more expensive than me having a midwife. And, prices can range with a midwife from like 3,000 to 5,000, depending on what you're getting, and upwards depending on what you're getting. But those are like the basic numbers, you know what I mean? And they have things like payment plan, which is something that I was on, because at the time I certainly didn't just have a full $5,000 to give my midwife, but I paid in small chunks from the beginning of finding out that I was pregnant until the interim. And like a lot of people will work with you, and my midwife worked with me, like, well, this is what I can pay, or this is how long I need. Can we extend it a little bit, or can you do this week, or this month? And a lot of them will work with you. So the cost for getting a midwife didn't end up being so overwhelming for me, and it's something that I'm like, okay, and I can actually see this happening. So my midwife basically would come visit me in my home and do my checkups, check on the health of the baby, check on me. She would give classes, things of that nature. She helped me with nutrition. And these are all things that were natural remedies. And, I didn't have to like take a bunch of medications. And I basically made sure that I had all my protein and iron and all the other nutrients that I need through foods, and like natural supplements and things like that. So it was a process that really helped put my mind at ease, that I know that I'm going to bring a healthy baby into the world in a natural way. Because a lot of times when we go into the modern day system, they may want to pump us up and fill us up with a lot of medications. They end up giving us, antibiotics, which is not really, really good for the baby. And, just all these pills that's like the first thing a lot of times they would do is prescribe you like medication. And like the natural way is like something that is like not even talked about unless you go to a specific doctor. I was thankful that not only was the midwife a sense of support for me, but they were also like medically educated, from a natural standpoint, as to what I needed to help my body, and prepare and get ready for the baby, not only nutritionally but also mentally and emotionally. I think also too that whatever we're feeling or going through, the baby is also experiencing as well. So, another main reason I chose home birth, because I didn't want to send my baby through anything that could potentially be, traumatic for the baby, like, getting an epidural, which can, kind of not only cut off all the pain, but cut off all your senses and connection to the baby. I didn't want the baby to, have to be rushed out or pushed out too soon, or disconnected from me too soon. I just wanted to give my little ones a really healthy process where they felt nurtured and loved, and where we could really bond in a safe space without a lot of external and unnecessary interventions. In terms of the pain portion, I pretty much apply like this thought process of how I do everything else in my life, kind of like mind over matter. You know what I mean? Like if you mentally prepare yourself, like, okay, I am going through a passageway, I am going through a journey, and along the way, I might hit some road bumps or some things I might have to get over. But because I've done the work in my mind, and I've prepared myself, then I'm definitely going to, get through it. So, in terms of pain, I had to kind of rewire my programming on how I looked at pain and kind of remind myself that, hey, pain doesn't necessarily always mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes pain can be a messenger. Sometimes when, we as women, we are giving birth, it's like we are, you know, we are from our ancestors, and they may have gone through things that we need to, transmute and push through in the emotional system. So it's like us as women, we take on all the trauma or all the baggage from our previous mothers and her mother and her mother. And I think that, in life, everyday period is a great opportunity to kind of go within every month, when you're having your cycle. And if you are in pain, to kind of go there and see, like, okay, what is this pain trying to tell me? What is it that I need to work on? But I do think that, cycles and things like that should not really be crazy painful. And if it is, something's wrong, or maybe it's the diet or something that you need to transmute. But this goes over into giving birth as well, because this is like the ultimate, passageway of birthing life into this physical realm. So, of course, you're going to maybe run up against some emotional blockages or things that you need to work on, because it's such a spiritual experience, such a raw spiritual experience, and you have this wonderful, beautiful, pure light being in your field. So, you're getting ready for this baby, and the baby is like cleansing you, you're cleansing yourself as you prepare, to give life. So I like to look at the pain from that perspective. Like, what are you here to teach me? And, what do I need to pay attention to? And how can I love it more? And how can I, what messages can I take from it? And how can I transmute it and get through it? So, that's what happened to me. Like, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie, because, the experience with my first baby girl, my second baby girl was kind of different. Like, my first girl was a lot more, painful than my second. But I had, before, always been working on transmuting some of this pain. And it was something that I had to, kind of center myself and push through. Now, I will tell you that there were moments that were really challenging for me. And there were other moments where I was completely suspended in this euphoric state. The birthing process takes you through many emotions. But I was able to dig deeper into a well of strength that I didn't even know I had. And looking back on it, I'm so thankful and so glad that I stayed strong through the process. And even, in the moment where you're thinking like, this is really painful, it's something that doesn't last continuously. Like, the contractions come in and they go out, and you can kind of get a break and get a breather in between. And every baby is different. Every woman is different. Like, I said, my first baby was different than my second. My first baby girl, I had a lot of emotions to work through. It was a little bit more, painful, as we got closer and closer to giving birth to her. But my second baby, even though I experienced some pain here and there, it was just like that euphoria was much longer than the first time. I remember just laying in the tub, in this like almost high, and my midwife was like, okay, are you going to give birth to this baby? But I just felt, so blissful in that moment. So it was definitely a beautiful experience. So there is definitely much more beauty to be had than it is this, crazy, horrific, scary experience, And I think also too that preparing my body physically helped me with the painful process, because, your baby is coming out of the canal. So you want to make sure that it's ready and it's strong and you've built up those muscles. I got through. I had my husband there, I had my midwife, And I also had another medical assistant, and I gave birth in a water pool in my living room. And the pool was definitely something that really worked for me with the pain, because it helped ease the weight of the contractions that were coming, and it was a heated pool. Different things are going to work for different people. There are all kinds of tools that you can use. Yoga balls. You can sit, stand, lay, however you want. And I think that's another thing too, is because in a hospital, I'm sure you possibly can move around depending on the situation, but a lot of times you're just laying in one spot, you know what I mean, with your legs out, and that might not always be the most comfortable position. So I've really had freedom to move around with my body, with the ebbs and flows of what was coming up for me, to get through it with my support system. Now, I gave birth to my first baby girl in 2021, July of 2021. Now, I got pregnant in 2020. So that tells you, right there that 2020, it was a big time going through the sea, you know what, with everybody getting the, juice or whatever. But where I lived, they told me that I couldn't even bring my husband into the hospital room. And that was a major deal for me, because that was something that made me freak out a little bit, because I'm like, okay, I'm already having to go through this process, and now you tell me that I can't bring my husband. You know what I mean? And I thought that was really extreme. And I know for me personally, I needed that support system. I needed to be in the comfort of my own home. I didn't want a lot of big lights on me. I wanted very low, dim lights. I had frequency music playing. I had crystals. I had sage and incense, and the whole refrigerator full of food if I wanted it. My bed and a blankie and a hot tub. And I just really wanted that nest of comfort in my home with my support system around me. I think the big takeaway for me was that, even though this is something I've never done before, even though it's something that's scary, this is something that I'm absolutely capable of. And if I give my mindset going in that, hey, this is something I'm going to get through, I'm going to be healthy through this process, my baby is going to arrive healthy, baby is going to come out of the canal the way it's supposed to, with the head down first, because I've heard stories of that too, with babies, coming out, feet first, which is why they do C-sections. But, my midwife also told me that even sometimes with that, like even though it's not their first choice or maybe ideal, they've also given birth to healthy babies with the legs down first. So again, I just think it's different for every woman. But, for me, I had to set my mind up for success. And because everything does happen in the mind first, and we are experiencing life through our creations, I had to create a situation for myself that was going to get me to the other side. So this is encouragement that if it's something that you're thinking about, there are tools out there. There are non-traditional ways that you can go about it, but while also being informed, educated, and taking care of your body. But we as women, we are naturally meant to be able to give birth and do it in a healthy manner. So yeah, I just wanted to share my story, and I hope that I was able to touch on all the little factors here and there. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave your comments in the comments section below. And all my mothers out there, let me know what your journey was like, or if you possibly have, supported a mother giving birth, let me know what your experience was like. But until next time, I love you, God loves you, continue to live in love and light, and take care of you.